You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
And together we are Roleplay Family. It is another time for an episode of NXT UK, the best show in the WWE. We all know it. You know, we're just gonna cover this show because it was great, Jean-Paul. An hour of good wrestling, good storytelling, and Jean-Paul was always right. What he predicted, what we mentioned it was gonna happen, done. Jean-Paul, how do you feel about this show?
This was pretty good. I think a lot of us are looking forward to next week, the finals of the Heritage Cup. I know I am. You know, this week saw the big main event, the Falls Count Anywhere match, which I'll get to in a minute. I didn't know Falls Count Anywhere was also no DQ. So that was something, but I'll get to that in the main event. But I mean, this was a pretty good show, and we also got a little bit, from Ilja Dragunov. Not really hearing from him, but we saw a promo or a recap. So that feud is still hopefully going to continue. So this was a pretty good show.
Walter or like the NXT champion, we haven't heard from Walter or Dragunov or anything. We haven't in the 2 weeks that we've seen the show, but it was good. So we're going to be talking about every single thing, but like in a minute, because Jean-Paul, what's the menu for today? Started out with, NXT for you, Jean-Paul. Undisputed Era returns, Io Shirai beats Rhea Ripley. How do you feel about this?
Yeah. I mean, this was good. Besides the fact that time management was off, I mean, the opening, I would say the first, 2/3 of the show were kind of, not too great. But as it went on, it got better, especially the last two segments. Tell me this. Is Rhea Ripley, like we predicted, maybe going to be a part of War Games, or do you think she's getting called up right away?
One of the two can be, Jean-Paul. Like I said, for example,
maybe they'll put...
Go ahead.
I was going to say maybe they'll put Io in the War Games because, she's probably not going to have a championship match. They're not building a #1 contender up, so maybe they'll put her in the match and call Rhea right up. Maybe she'll be on Team Smackdown. Who knows? Friday night.
That could be a potential thing, but they already confirmed War Games is going to be, Undisputed Era against the new Kings of NXT, Pat McAfee. So we already predicted we're cool, Jean-Paul. let's switch gears for, main course right there. AEW Dynamite. Will Hobbs joins Team Taz, Jean-Paul.
Yep, and another one that in the records I think I predicted, so pretty good here. And this is the right move, like I said, for Will Hobbs. He can benefit so much learning from Taz. I mean, as a babyface on his own, he would have eventually flourished, but this will put him more towards the main event a lot quicker. So this was good. Yeah, and obviously Serena Deeb, Thunder Rosa, a match that secretly stole the show. They were great. Kenny Omega, the contract signing, great stuff.
We want to congratulate Jean-Paul and myself, Jon Moxley and Renee Paquette, Renee Young on WWE. Congratulations, guys. You're going to be parents. She's pregnant, legit. More like wrestling fans around the world.
Rollins and Becky did it first, though. So
well, it has to always be the second one of Rollins. Like the Shield and everything. And it's true, Jean-Paul. For the soccer fans, Ecuador completely destroys Colombia 6-1.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, but the dream of going to the World Cup one more time is still there. Just check it out. Great video with our boy Clever in complete Spanish.
Clever.
Analysis and the goals. Don't forget to check that out. So, Jean-Paul, it is time to actually get into the show. And the show started, with a promo from the girls because we're going to be a Falls Count Anywhere, Piper Niven and Kaylee Ray. So, legit stuff. But, Jean-Paul, we go to a match like you said that it didn't really feel like a match. It was actually more like a hard-hitting bout, between Joe Coffey.
I thought I was watching Rocky V. I thought this was Tommy Gunn and, Balboa in the alleyway.
Yes, Tommy Gunn against Balboa, and then get up, you son of a bitch. Yeah,
exactly.
And it was Joe Coffey against Sam Gradwell. Sam Gradwell, remember, he came back 2 weeks ago. He was all the story about the repair surgical, the knee and stuff.
Yes.
And he got that match also teaming up with Pretty Deadly and all of that, and pretty much Joe Coffey and Gales destroy them and all of that. So I wanna think that they're trying to give him a chance. But again, Joe Coffey beat him this time, and like you said, this match was pretty much not wrestling related. It was more a hard hitting bout for me, Jean-Paul.
Yeah, I mean there might have been one suplex in here and a couple submissions, maybe wearing down, but I mean this was mostly just two guys punching each other, throwing each other into the turnbuckles, just really beating the shit out of each other in almost like an MMA fight, you could say.
Yes.
But I mean it was good for obviously Coffey. They're really building him up. And later on in the night, we saw something where, that could be hinting that he's going to be a #1 contender soon. But, yes. I mean, this match, like I said, was really good for Coffey, made him look strong. And, what's his name, the opponent? The last name?
No, it's a Gradwell.
Gradwell. Yeah, I knew it was some other G,
Damn
but yeah,
Gradwell.
Gradwell. There we go. But I mean, Gradwell, coming back after 2 years, the guy has a look. He's big, and it's like, okay, like maybe we can do something with this guy. They job him out in a pretty deadly match, and then he's like, oh, this was bullshit last week. He's like, if I have a one-on-one match, I'll show Joe Coffey, who's the better man. And he pretty much got annihilated here. So I don't know what they're doing with this guy. Like, you bring somebody back after 2 years, and that's what you do with him.
And he looks like a metalhead. He has like a pretty
that's what I mean. Yeah, he has a good look. I mean, it's unique. He reminds me like Alexander Wolf, who we also saw going after Coffey later in the night, where it's like, you look decent, you have a legit look, but you always lose.
Yes, so like we'll see what they do with him. But I like the fact that there was blood, and how he like did the discus clothesline. It's called the Belfast. I think Belfast like something like that, like how they call the finisher. But it's pretty much the discus clothesline that he does. He gets the 1, 2, 3 on that, and then he grabs like the blood, and he's like, "You see this? This is what we always come for. This is what I do. I'm the best in the division." He's like, "I'm going to be number 1 contender. I'm going to go for the title." So like Coffey was kind of like a really legit promo, and you see that again. And despite the allegations for the speak up movement and all of that, what happened months ago, they're trying to build him up one more time. And I wouldn't be surprised if like he goes with Walter one more time. So we'll see what happens on that, Jean-Paul. Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
Right. Let's go, let's move on to the Cruiserweight champion Jordan Devlin and Sid Scala, because they're talking about the future of the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And this is really intriguing because we don't know what they're going to do with Santos Escobar. So I want to see how are they going to mix both titles. I'm thinking, Jean-Paul, Royal Rumble will be the time. Your big pay-per-view, finally they might be able to get Devlin in America and then, being able to match both of the titles. But for now, they're going to keep playing with this idea. So they're discussing that. And then we got to see Amir Jordan and Kelly Williams. They came to like when they were talking, and they're like, hey, give me a championship opportunity because, Kenny Williams is injured, but I'm good to go. So how about if I do this? So how did you like this, Jean-Paul?
I mean, I like this just because I love Jordan Devlin, where he's like, yeah, screw your tag team partner, right? He's like, everybody comes to WWE to be a singles champion. So Kenny Williams, like, you're just forgotten bullshit. He's trying to cause friction between the teams. And then Amir Jordan's like, no, we're good, but hey, let me go for this. And Kenny Williams like, no.
Can I go, Jean-Paul?
Like, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. It's legit. But no, I mean, this is good. And I agree. I hope they kind of keep them apart for a little bit. Like you said, maybe Royal Rumble. I don't know. Maybe they're hoping that travel restrictions are lessened, but it doesn't really look like that if you followed the news. Because I was going to say another Worlds Collide pay-per-view would be a great time to do it. NXT versus NXT UK. I mean, that would be perfect to do it at War Games for almost like a Survivor Series type feel. But it would be something I like to see. But I like that how they're building it. Like the normal NXT has theirs, and then the UK has theirs.
Jean-Paul, like next week we're going to actually see the Cruiserweight Championship match. It's going to be Jordan Devlin against Amir Jordan. I'm looking forward for this because Jordan Devlin, is a good athlete, and Jordan is like a pretty high flyer. I like the style. So I'm really looking forward for this. We'll see what they do. We'll see, Royal Rumble might be, like you're suggesting, Worlds Collide, one of the two. I'm just looking forward for this, Jean-Paul.
Oh, definitely. And I think this will be a good defense for Jordan Devlin. Obviously, he's not going to lose it here. So this should be a good match next week.
Exactly, Jean-Paul. So let's go to a recap. Recap what what happened with Walter and Ilja Dragunov for the WWE NXT World Championship. And, we kind of hear a little bit of Dragunov. They're still kind of living with the hype of the match. It was really good. So we'll see what happens next week. At least if we get to hear from Walter, get to hear from Dragunov after all these weeks. So something needs to happen for, I think December is coming up. So we'll see what happens. And this is going to be an episode on Thanksgiving Day, Jean-Paul.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, how they did this package. It was talking to Dragunov before the match. He's like, you're going to have to drag my lifeless body out of this ring. I'm going to war. I'm not going to leave until I'm champion. And I mean, what happened at the match? They drug his lifeless body out of the ring. So, it was really good how they set this up. And like you said, they're still living off the hype of this match. To me, it's the match of the year right now, so I'd be living off the hype of it as well.
Absolutely, Jean-Paul. So now let's go with the tag team championship, not champions, but a tag team match. And it is pretty deadly. Lewis Howley and Sam Stalker, and they go against Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. This was a pretty good match when it comes to speed, and also high flying and just tag team moves. I really like the interactions between four guys. I mean, Pretty Deadly, the only thing that I can tell Jean Paul is they don't have a finisher. They don't have a combined finisher. They don't have singles finisher. So they kind of win in kind of crappy or bullshit ways as we,
the rope break lingo, yes.
Yeah, and the rope break lingo, that's the only thing that turns me off from these guys because kind of Backstreet Boys, metrosexual guys, we
could almost just say the UK Breezango, essentially.
Yes, it's I'm a darling, you watch Bohemian Rhapsody, you guys understand when Freddie Mercury mentions darling, you guys know what he's talking about. But other than that, the match was pretty decent, like I said. Pretty the speed of it, everything, the pace was really good. I like the interactions between, Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. They did a pretty good job. They convinced me. I like how they will do the tag team moves, for example, the one will be leaning, the other one will pop, and then they will
off the back. That almost reminds you the silly string, except they don't go into a DDT like Private Party does.
Yes. Yeah,
they go off the back and into the I like Smith and Carter a lot too. I think they're a tag team. The NXT, what did they say their first episode back? We have our tag team division is the hidden gem of the whole wrestling world. Our tag team division is so legit. And, they're another team that adds stat. This is who Pretty Deadly was kind of calling out last week. So now we got this match. And like you said, it was really good. I like Pretty Deadly. They're slowly moving them up the tag team ranks. I could see them challenging Gallus, sooner than later. And I agree with what you said, though. They get the kind of bullshit wins. Just because it's they're heels and they really play up that tactic. I love how Nigel McGuinness loves these guys. How he's oh yeah, there's they look like Orlando Bloom and all that.
Oh yeah, and his ass over.
Yeah, and then did you hear what he asked? Yeah, he asked Sid Scalise. He's well, who's your celebrity lookalike? And he's I think Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. And then he lost his shit.
Yeah, he's
laughing so bad.
Yeah, he was laughing.
Yeah, so I popped for that. But this match was really good. But I do think the right team won, even though I like Smith and Carter a lot. I think they're really good, and I'd like to see them get a push too. But Pretty Deadly, they have the name, they have the look, and they've been calling out Gallus for the past couple of weeks. So I think they're the right team to win.
Like you said, pretty much the very first NXT champion, tag team championship match is going to be Gallus against Pretty Deadly, and we can see that it's going to be Breezango against Gallus or something like
because
that.
I think Gallus they need an opponent that's looks sort of credible, but they're going to retain, and I think Pretty Deadly is a team.
Yeah, what it is. Yeah. Absolutely right. I agree with you. So we'll see with that. There was a promo, like you said, by Alexander Wolf. He was kind of trying to talk, but then you see Coffey and Gallus celebrating, and they're and it's what's going on? Why are you guys celebrating? He's then Coffey goes and says, well, you caused me the match at Dublin. And one of the NXT takeovers because you came and did the distraction. So, you see kind of there's going to be a feud between them. Again, Coffey maybe inserting himself against Imperium or kind of Walter. So we'll see what happens with that. But it was really cool because and then after that they were still celebrating and so cool.
Yeah, I saw them. I think they turned on Rope Break and they were watching it. They're They
were watching the 6-1, Ecuador, Colombia. They're watching the goals. Good stuff. Great stuff, Jean Paul. I like that. Also, we got a little bit more of Rampage Brown. So everybody his reaction. So he's good. He's legit. Oh yeah, he's legit. Oh,
who's next?
Yeah, Wolver, Goldberg, all of that. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Rampage Brown.
Goldberg.
Or Gilbert, Goldberg, we'll see what happens with him. And pretty interesting stuff, Jean Paul. I really like that. So let's go to our guy that is Bruiser Brody alike. Let's go with Saxon Huxley. He came back, he have a match, and he goes against Levi Muir. So this was a pretty decent match. Just pretty much to give a little bit more credibility to Saxon. I think that he's a pretty good wrestler, but unfortunately he has not been put in a meaningful feud yet.
No,
so he did at least a little bit of a win. A win is always a win, and that's even Joe Coffey was saying. A win is a win. So it's always going to give you more motivation. It's going to boost you up.
Oh, yeah, Saxon Huxley. I'd love to see him versus Joe Coffey, #1 contender. We saw Saxon Huxley win against Walter a couple weeks ago. Good match, but like you said, after that, it's I thought that match was too soon. That was wasn't that Walter's return match?
Yes.
I think so. It wasn't for the title or anything. So, I think you could obviously do that later on down the road. But like I said, this guy's Bruiser Brody. He even yells when he's just walking around doing nothing, Bruce.
It's Jackson Duggan and Bruiser Brody because
exactly. But this was good. I like Muir a lot. When you look at this guy, he reminds me the UK Velveteen Dream without the gimmick, just like the really broad chest, like the really broad upper body. I mean, the dude looks like he's chiseled out of stone, like they were saying. But I mean, hey, he's there. He's on like the bottom of the card kind of deal. He's going to be a jobber for right now. But in 2-3 years, this guy will be a star, I can tell. But, he had his boy, the other jobber, Stars come out.
Stars was right there.
So, hey, don't be surprised if they put these two guys into a tag team and they maybe start getting some wins in the future. And that's how you build these two guys up. Because they're both really good. But like I said, right now they're just going to be doing the jobs to make these other, guys look better.
Absolutely. Well, and, in this case, like you said, Huxley was the winner. Like, I like kind of like the same finisher as Joe Coffey. Though,
a lot of clotheslines, but...
Yeah,
but that's the one thing. That's the one thing about NXT UK. It's like people might be like, "Oh, why isn't it a Canadian Destroyer through like 7 tables?" And it's like because this is like real wrestling. If you hit somebody with a clothesline in real life with legit force or a power bomb or something like that, you're gonna knock them out. So they treat it like real life, like real people fighting. So that's why NXT UK is the best.
Yep. Like you said, Jean Paul. Good stuff for Huxley. We'll see what they do with him. This guy deserves a little bit more because of the characters unhinged. He's crazy. He wants gold. He wants meaningful feuds. I'm looking forward to
him versus Rampage Brown is going to be a feud that will be legit because I know they're going to do that.
Too crazy, two psychopaths. Yep. We're not allowed to do that. We're two warriors because of what WWE does with that. It will be really cool. I'm really looking forward for that, Jean Paul. Video package also for like the Heritage Cup finals. Trent Seven against A-Kid and like kind of like. Trent Seven goes, well, it's my time now. This kid is legit. This A-Kid is pretty good. He will have his time in like years from now. But right now is my time. I need to win this.
Tell me, I know you love A-Kid and I like him too, but tell me how do you feel when Trent Seven and him were cutting this video, like the promo in this video package? Trent Seven, it feels like there's emotion. It feels legit. It feels like he really wants to win this. And then A-Kid feels like he's reading off a cue card.
Well,
like somebody standing there with a sign, and he's like, "I will win the Heritage Cup. I've been wrestling since 10 years old."
Like in language barrier. That's it. Because if they give you something, you're just gonna like. I think for the Spanian, you're just gonna try to pronounce everything as is.
Yeah.
But the emotion is gonna. Same thing.
He could have did that in the beginning, but then get fired up. Then he should have been standing up and, speaking in Spanish and been like, just put the subtitles. It was a video package. You could put subtitles. That's what they would do for us.
Putito, I'm going to be.
That's what they would do with Asuka when she would, in NXT, put the subtitles. But, I mean, just this alone and everything, like what Trent Seven said, like, this is my time. Like, I don't have forever. My gas tank's running, it's running on E. You got your whole career ahead of you. This is for me. So I really hope that that's what they do and they give it to him. But if A-Kid does win it next week, I mean, he's just as deserving. But I think Trent Seven, rightfully so.
But again, I'm going to keep my Spanian because I'm just going to keep the, the family, the blood, So like, let's do that, Jean Paul. So let's go to the main event. This was like the legit, stuff, and this is like Piper Niven against Kaylee Ray, and it's not 2 weeks. It's just it's right now. This was a pretty good match. Falls count anywhere. They actually gave me a Falls Count Anywhere match. A lot of toys, usage of Piper Niven with a different attitude. Violent. Like she didn't care. Like careless, like you said. Relentless also. Like they beat the crap out of each other. This was probably the most violent match that I've seen with women in 2020, Jean Paul. At least for me. And I want to maybe say it is a candidate for one of the best matches of the girls in 2020 throughout the whole world. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, it was definitely it was pretty brutal. And that's because, like you said, last year we saw like the TLC matches and stuff like Kabuki Warrior, Charlotte, and Becky and all that stuff. Like those were probably a little more brutal, but just in recent memory, yeah, I agree. But also, correct me if I'm wrong, are Falls Count Anywhere automatically no DQ?
Yeah, it was always no DQ, yes.
Okay. I thought it was like that was a different stipulation because right when it started, like you said, Piper Niven getting out all the toys, I'm like, oh shit, now this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So then, she was getting all that out.
Where it's just, like no holds bar. It's just different moves, but it's the same thing. It's just like, no DQ, yes.
Yeah, so I guess a rose by any other name, still smell as sweet or whatever that line is. So
every rose has its thorns, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, speaking of thorns, yeah, they really beat the hell out of each other. Mostly Piper Niven, just like the suplexes and everything on the outside. It was the match was on. I think it was 10 minutes until they went inside the ring.
Yeah.
And she was just throwing her into the barricade, and she got out like a turnbuckle, like the metal, like the rod that connects it to the ring post, and she was just beating her in the injured knee with that. And I mean, it was good.
I thought it was still in Piper, but like she beat her like really
Yeah.
hard, like, and then she goes paper, no.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. I mean, and I was like, this is good. I'm like, if this is how you're gonna do it, and you really want to get Piper over, almost like squash her. But because, I'm watching it on my phone, I can see, oh, no, there's still like 20 minutes left in the match. Like, oh, okay, legit. So, I knew it wasn't going to be done here. But, then I like when Kaylee Ray got the ring bell and she threw it and Piper moved, but it bounced off the ring steps and hit Piper anyway. Like it ricocheted off there and hit her, ricochet, legit. But, I mean, this was really good, and then eventually they fought to the back and everything.
Jeannie came out, Jean Paul.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yep. She came out here
like
too.
You were saying, Jeannie was going to screw her because of remember the Piper driver or the Michinoku driver that she delivered on Jeannie. So she came out and she started to messing up with. Imagine one big point that you're mentioning, no DQ, so Jeannie could do whatever she wanted. So then Piper took care of him, she couldn't, she threw her out the ring, and then they went to the inside of the BT Sports arena, the backstage. Mm-hmm. And then actually Kaylee Ray beat her with a guitar, so that was pretty.
They're like Jeff Jarrett. I like when Piper took a picture frame and smashed it on her head, and then it's like she's been framed.
Yeah.
Really?
And with a guitar, and even they said, "Oh, we're remembering Jeff Jarrett," and I'm
slap nuts.
Match, and Piper didn't even try her hardest. I saw she wanted to win that title more than anything. They convinced me of that. Kaylee Ray, not too much. I don't think it was one of her best matches because for the most part of the match she was dominated by Piper. But at least that's how I saw it. So
they like I said, if this was to be honest, no Ginny, we'd have a new champion because Piper was just beating the hell out of her. Yes. And that was Kaylee Ray was pretty much just trying to survive this thing.
Yes,
and like you said. And then they were fighting, and they just on some production crates on an upper level. And then that's when Ginny came again with the steel chair. Smash them. They fall through a table, and like you said, it was kind of like the finish where Triple H gets knocked down, falls on Stone Cold, something like that, and then she just covers her 1, 2, 3. So
that was
then
pretty much, yeah. But remember,
the champ retains.
She did even the Michinoku driver, the Piper driver on top of a chair, and she almost wins the win. So that was really cool. I was like, well, a little crappy that the Kaylee Ray kicked out of that, but you could see Piper's oh my God, it's not yet. But like you said, there you go. That's the point that you're mentioning.
Yep, there it is.
Yep. And that was kind of crappy, like you said, a little bit crappy just because Ginny pushed both of them and then done. Hey, this
will be the thing. Maybe we'll get a triple threat because I know you love triple threats.
I know, I do.
Maybe we'll get that, and Piper will pin Ginny, and then Piper. That's how she'll win the belt. Maybe they just don't want to. Maybe Kaylee Ray's like Hogan. She don't want to put Piper over, so they're like, all right, we'll put Ginny in here, so then you can lose, without getting pinned.
Yeah, maybe, but that's what it was, like you said, and then pretty much Kaylee Ray get the pin, she gets the win, she retains. You see the frustration in Piper Niven's in the picture, and you see Ginny, and actually Kaylee Ray was looking at Ginny, so maybe that's the feud that we're seeing, but like you said, they need a babyface.
Yeah, but she almost helped her though. You know what I mean? It's almost to be a feud, it's
it's an intentional help.
Unless she thinks that Kaylee Ray's an easier opponent to beat than Piper Niven. So.
Yeah. Well, like you say, it's unintentional help, and you're saying everything's calling for a triple threat. Maybe, like I said, the end of the year is coming, so they're going to do something that is going to be more like championships, they're going to stack up the show with Walter defending the championship, so Kaylee Ray's going to have to defend also.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is the only thing I'll say, and I'm sure you feel the same way. If you're going to keep doing matches with Piper and she doesn't win, then what's the point? It's like the Simpsons meme where it's like, stop it, he's already dead. Stop beating her. Move her. Let Piper do something else. Move Kaylee Ray into somebody else. Don't keep giving me this match where Piper keeps losing and losing and losing, unless in the end she's going to win. I think the next
is already 3 times that we've seen.
Yes,
because remember, Tony Storm, the takeovers won, and then these last 2. Yes. So, if she gets a triple threat, she needs to win. Because we said this even the week before. We said that she needs to win because other than that, we said it in that match.
We said it in that match with Tony Storm, what feels like years ago.
Yeah.
And we said, we would love to see her win it here, and
No, they don't want to do it, like you said, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Kaylee Ray's champion, it doesn't bother me as much, but what bothers me more is that Piper Niven lost. But but like you said, the way it just paves the way for
triple threat.
Triple threat, and like you said, maybe by the last episode of NXT of the year, they do always something big, like always championship matches. So that's what I think is going to happen. So Jean Paul, thank you for a great review. So remind everybody where they can find us in the social media world.
Where you can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, the home for the number one podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break, right here on YouTube.
Thank you for the love, subscriptions, comments. We really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for support Jean Paul and myself in this quest of being like the number one place for like the best wrestling content and also soccer. Thank you, family. Tomorrow we have another day with you guys because it's Smackdown Go Home Show for Survivor Series. Lots of big coverage, big coverage when it comes to Survivor Series previews and predictions. We're going to be talking about The Undertaker. And on Sunday, in English, Survivor Series review with everything that is going to happen at that main event, at that pay-per-view. Main event, great main event. Jean Paul, Drew McIntyre, Tribal Chief. Who's going to be the main guy? So, Jean Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...